Well, here we are on the CHEK blog. I'm here today with Jator Pierre. Jator, who's looking all dapper in his CHEK, fancy CHEK outfit. How you doing, Jator?
Depends on what part you're asking.
Well, I can only see your face right now, so maybe I'm asking your face.
That's pretty good. In this moment, my friend, I'm enjoying the opportunity to share. I'm enjoying some good chats that we've had prior to this one,
Yeah.
and I have my support system up there, which is the snail,
Hmm.
and then up here is a reminder of my chakras.
Good, good.
And
Well,
what those both represent to me.
great. Well, you're going to talk about something, I guess, today that's maybe most crucial to the first chakra, right? You're going to be talking to us about sleep, the missed benefits of sleep, and sleep hygiene.
Yeah, you know, there is a saying out there which I really appreciate, which is um, you cannot be healthy without sleep, period. And for me, that rings very true. I think sleep is one of the most underrated aspects of health and wellness, and it doesn't get the respect that it should. I've had numerous clients and experiences, even within my own body, that you can become extremely focused on your dynamic nutritional needs. You can become extremely focused on your movement and working in and working out. You can become extremely focused on stress management. You can also become really good at taking all the right supplements and sourcing all the right food and thinking all the right thoughts. And if you're not sleeping, in my perspective, pretty much everything else is out the door. Um, Sleeping is essentially what regulates the HPA axis, part of what regulates the HPA axis, as well as your hormonal system. And, when we think about this from a CHEK perspective, if you're focusing on uh, your dream requires energy to change habits, to look at underlying behaviors, to ask questions. And if you're outgassing all that energy, doing all these other things, and you're not getting a good night's sleep, then you're going to lack the energy that you need to create your dream or to have the energy to move toward your dream, whatever is the goal or the vision that you're working on. Um, the other thing that is very interesting about sleep is that one night of sleep of around 5.5 to 6 hours has been shown to cause a pre-diabetic state in the person.
Mm.
So that will also throw off your need for nutrition. It will throw off your need and your feeling of your internal physiology and your emotional state, your mental state. That will then throw off your experience of your outward reality.
Mhm.
There's some really interesting, good research
Mm.
on sleep, and they looked at students at UC Berkeley,
Mm.
and they had them on 5 to 6 hours a night of sleep, and they did that for about 3 days, and then they took them into the lab and they showed each student different facial expressions,
Mhm.
from angry to happy.
Mm.
And all of this different range of facial expressions and how we interpret facial expressions as human beings. And what was really interesting is that the students that lack sleep, no matter what face they were showing, those students saw more threatening faces
Mm.
and were in much more of a survival and security and fear mode
Mm.
based on getting less sleep. So essentially what that means is they were in a sleep deprived place and then projecting out their fear, their body's fear, right? At a cellular level, the body isn't sleeping, it's in a survival state. that gets projected outwardly onto your external reality. And then you interpret your external reality as more threatening to the system. So when you think about that from a societal point of view, or even a relationship point of view, if you're not sleeping well, what is the vibrancy of what you're projecting out onto your significant other, onto your work, onto yourself when you're looking in the mirror, or thinking about, what you're doing that day? And, how does that increase the amount that you're maybe beating yourself up? Yeah. It's super fascinating. And again, my perspective is it's really underrated, because I do love my sleep, and I love naps. Yeah. So it's also really important to the regulation of the HPA axis. So hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal. You could take that a little further and go into HPA, thyroid, gonadal axis. So that affects the whole hormonal system, which again would affect your perceptions of self and external reality, which would make that more stressful, which would stress you out more, which would lead to more inflammatory processes, which would lead to more gut inflammation, which would lead to more gut permeability, which would lead to, and on and on and on and on and on it goes.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to also kind of touch on some other ideas around hygiene of sleep that I think sometimes can be missed, or not taken as heavily as I think they might need to be to create health and wellness.
Okay.
So being really mindful that not only does natural light affect your hormonal rhythm, artificial light does as well. So a really easy fix for clients and or any of you that have some sleep dysregulation going on is get out in the sun 15 to 30 minutes a day. Best time would be in the morning. Afternoon would be fine too. Whenever it is, get out there. No sunglasses on. No sunblock on. And let the sun flush over you for 15 to 30 minutes. Let it hit your eyes as well. Now, I'm not saying stare into the sun, which some people I guess do. But let it flush over your eyes.
Yeah.
That will stimulate the pineal gland. That will also help. It's called anchoring your hormonal system. It'll help to anchor your physiology into the time, rise and movement, rise of the sun, setting of the moon, etc., or the other way around, setting of the sun, rising of the moon. Yeah. So that will anchor your system, and that will help to address sleep dysregulation, because your body will start to learn what time it is. So many of us are in these offices, we don't get sunlight. Yeah. That's part of the information that our body downloads to regulate our hormonal system, which is super fascinating. How many people get 0 sunlight a day? A lot. They're locked in offices with no windows. Yeah. So you got that. Then you have to be mindful of your artificial lighting as the sun is setting in your home. So down-regulate any artificial light, turn it down, get dimmers, go to candles, go to Himalayan salt lamps. Start to respect the down-regulation in the evening as time to prepare yourself for a great night's sleep, so that you can wake up the next day and facilitate the energy that is needed to go after your dream, or your vision, or what you're trying to create. So being really mindful of artificial lighting, because what latest research is showing is that artificial lighting, tablets, iPhones, computers, TVs, they all give off something called blue light. And blue light's been shown to upregulate cortisol and downregulate melatonin and serotonin. Right. So if you're being exposed to that, your body actually thinks it's in perpetual summertime, essentially. Right.
Because cortisol is a wake up hormone, right?
It's a wake up hormone and saying, hey, wake up, it's time to do things,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is the exact opposite of what you want to do in the evening.
Right.
So you want to deal with that. You want to unplug all electronics in your bedroom if possible. Everything that's plugged in the room, unplug it. Your room, essentially, from this perspective, should be for two things: sleep and sex. Everything else should, from the kind of creating your cave environment, you're trying to create a honored and respectful environment for one of the most healing things you can do for yourself, which is good night's sleep. So cool and dark room. You want your room to be quite cool. You don't want to have the heater on. You want it as dark as you can get it and as quiet as you can get it. At the end of this, I'll give some places for you guys to go to get different things to add to your sleep hygiene. So sleep and sex. Another real easy way to reset your circadian clock is to go camping. So go out in nature.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't bring any artificial lights. Bring firelight, etc. Or fire. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Roast some marshmallows.
Yeah.
But completely disconnect from everything electronic and artificial lighting. It's one of the fastest ways to press Control-Alt-Delete on your circadian rhythm and reset it.
Yeah.
The problem is you'll reset it, you'll have this new rhythm. When you come back to the city where you're living, you're either going to have to honor that new rhythm or you'll just go back into your same perpetual pathway of maybe dishonoring that rhythm.
Yeah.
So going camping, if you're a shift worker, the best thing that you can do for shift work is keep that rhythm. So it's much worse to have Monday through Friday working from 12 a.m. to 7 a.m. And then change that on Saturday and Sunday to normal, wake up at a normal time and hang out with everybody. It's much easier on your system to just keep that rhythm Monday through Sunday. If that's what you're going to do, if you're going to do shift work, much easier to keep that rhythm, at least from a physiological standpoint. It's almost impossible for the body to adjust to differing rhythms when it comes to sleep and circadian rhythm. And think about that as, from the perspective of us as human beings, one of the signs of health is being in rhythm with rise and fall of the sun, with food, with bowel habits. It's very rhythmical, and once you catch a rhythm and you catch a flow, that can serve your health and wellness extremely well. Another thing you can do to help with sleep is that eating a higher carbohydrate meal at night can be helpful for sleep. The carbohydrates will help take tryptophan across the blood-brain barrier and into the pineal gland, which will help you create melatonin and serotonin to help you sleep. If your protein is too high at night, the amino acids that are present in protein will battle with tryptophan to get taken across into the pineal gland, and you won't make as much serotonin and melatonin. Now, again, we have to consider primal pattern, right? We're all different. So with food and sleep, in terms of what you should eat and how many hours before or all that, it's a game. It's an experimental game, and you have to give honor to that you are an individual. And for me, a higher amount of carbohydrate, when I'm talking about carbohydrates, I mean starchy carbs, at night serves me excellent. I sleep like a champ. For somebody else, that may not work. So they'll have to find their specific ratio as well as their timing of food. Is it an hour before? Is it right before? Is it 3 hours before? Because all of that plays into gut health, into whether you're pre-diabetic, whether you have glucose tolerance or glucose intolerance, all that kind of plays in. So
Mm.
it's an experiment.
Right.
Take your time figuring that one out.
And I was going to say this is probably journaling, right? Is super helpful here, right? Because then you can know, okay, well, this is what I ate at this time, and I didn't sleep so well, so maybe that's what caused it. You can kind of track these things, right?
I appreciate that.
Mm.
Yeah. Journaling is super helpful.
Mm.
Keeping a diary of food, of sleep, of feeling,
Mm-hmm.
amazingly helpful to bringing your awareness to what's going on for sure.
Yeah.
Um, it might be one of the best tools that I've found in my own exploration of self to find that. And then thinking about this too, my experience, a lot of people have the alarm clocks that go off and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you're immediately waking yourself up with a stress response.
Mm-hmm.
Start your day
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Yay.
that's right.
So there's other options out there. Find, a light alarm clock that slowly builds up. The one I use is called Progressive Alarm. It's on
Mm-hmm.
my iPhone. And I just keep my iPhone out of my room. And it's Tibetan sound bowls. And it
Mm.
just slowly builds up and slowly wakes me up. It's really nice and easy. There's tons of easy ways to wake up. Find one that's less stressful
Mm-hmm.
than this jarring sound in the morning. The other thing is, for me, is being really mindful of not having emotionally supercharged discussion in the evening. So as sun is setting, you may want to hold those triggering conversations, emotionally charged conversations, till the next day. The reason being is that those conversations can be experienced as very stressful.
Mm-hmm.
That can put somebody into a sympathetic state.
Mm-hmm.
That raises up cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
That downregulates your sleep hormones.
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't sleep well. Blood sugar's off. You're stressed out. Your mind's spinning. You don't get a good night's sleep. You wake up in this state again of more stress.
Yeah.
And then you see your partner even in a worse light because you're internally stressed and you're just projecting that out onto them. So it's like this snowball effect. So something I learned from my own experience around healthy limits and boundaries, I refuse to have that type of conversation in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to be with me because of that, see you later. Because my health is the most important, and my body is the most important, and I have to honor that. So being mindful of that. And then, on the flip side of that is in kind of asking that question, are you or your partner or the people that you're surrounding yourself with, are you addicted to those stress hormones? Are you addicted to that drama? Are you so tired during the day that you actually create these situations? You create argument so that you can facilitate this stress response so that you can wake up and feel alive because you really feel like this. It's just, think of it as another form of coffee, another form of sugar. It's another way to speed you up. It's a fascinating question to ask. Do I get into arguments because I'm so tired and I'm trying to unconsciously create a stress response to wake myself up?
Yeah.
Really interesting, for me at least. And then going to non-toxic bedding, if you can, paint, off-gassing of the stuff on the floor, all that needs to be considered eventually. Avoiding tablets, phones, TV, etc. 2 to 3 hours before bed, if possible. And then if not possible, then you can download something called Just Get Flux to your computer. That will take out the blue light from your tablets and your computer screens. The iPhone and the computers now have twilight mode, which takes out the blue light. Set it on the darkest one. My favorite for that, though, is to get some amber sunglasses.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah, buddy. So, um, amber sunglasses completely cut out all the blue light
Mm,
um, from your computer, from your artificial light,
mm.
etc. And uh, they also look cool, which is also fun.
That they do.
The other thing with these is that I put these on as soon as the sun starts to go down.
Hmm.
And as a side benefit, if you're a CHEK practitioner or if you're a practitioner of any other kind, I wear these to dinner parties that I go to, and I wear them to the movie theaters at night. And it's hilarious because, yes, I am a very strange guy, at least in my experience. But from a business perspective, right, we're all trying
Mm,
to build our business.
mm,
People at dinner parties, people that come over, always ask me questions.
mhm.
Why are you wearing that?
Yeah.
That opens up a very, very, very fruitful place for
Mhm,
you to start talking about everything that we've discussed here
mm,
and how important that is to health and wellness.
mm,
Wow, that's really cool.
mhm.
Do you coach?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I do. And you can wear these too. There's other versions of these.
Mhm,
There's one that look a little bit more like construction style,
mhm.
made by UVEX. These are blue blockers. I found that sex is more likely with these than with the construction ones, so remember that. Um, so wear your blue blockers. It's all jokes aside, um, this has been one of the most powerful changes I've made when it's come to sleep with myself and my clients. Most of my clients are very well off CEOs, COOs, etc., who do work into the evening.
Mm,
This allows them to still do some of their work, right?
mhm.
It's a nice kind of, as Paul would say, rainbow bridge.
Right.
It allows them to do that. I've seen people's and heard people's sleep change immensely.
Mhm,
So as soon as sun starts going down, like sun setting, these come on and they protect you from the artificial lighting. They
mm,
allow you to do some work.
mhm.
They're awesome, awesome investment. $20.
Nice. Wow.
So go camping, which we've said.
Yep.
Um, for the windows, for blacking out and down regulating the amount of noise, you guys can check out a website called Indo Window.
Mm,
Indo Window. It completely blacks out and reduces noise by 70%.
wow.
I also like Max silicone earplugs.
Mhm,
They're silicone. They mold to the inside of your ear. They completely knock out noise. Blue blockers, very helpful, or UVEX, which you can find online. A Dome, DOHM, I believe, is a sound machine that you can use to create white noise in noisy environments. And then the progressive alarm. For night shift people, check out a website called Gnome Paleo, NOM Paleo. She is a paleo person who works the night shift, and she did a whole write-up on how to properly prepare and live even when you do night shift. So that's my spiel.
That's great. One last question. I know a lot of people shower at night too.
Hmm.
Perfume, shampoos, soaps, things like that. Does that also have an effect?
Yeah, that's a great question. So hot showering at night can be helpful to facilitating sleep. Those perfumes, makeup, scents, all of that can disrupt sleep through creating stress, through the idea that some of that we may actually have to detox out of our system,
Hmm.
which may overwhelm the system. So cleaning that stuff out, and even another interesting thing around showering in soap is that there's a lot of research going on currently around the skin microbiome
Hmm.
and the benefit of having skin bacteria and how the soaps that we use are very disruptive to that.
Yeah.
So you can check out a website called
I was
motherdirt.com.
going to ask you about them. Yeah.
I just posted on my Facebook feed an article around showering and not showering
Mm-hmm.
and how to do that. It can be very, very disruptive to
Mm-hmm.
sleep. And again, there's so much research going on right now in terms of bacteria and the microbiome and
Yeah.
the skin biome and the house biome, and it's all really important to facilitating your metabolism, facilitating to your food cravings, facilitate up to your short chain fatty acids and the reduction of inflammation. I mean, it's fascinating. So I rarely shower, which is fun to say.
Yeah.
I do get special stuff, soaps, etc., from Mother Dirt
Yeah.
to wash the areas that may need some extra attention.
Yeah.
And their bacterial spray I
Right.
use as well. It's fascinating. It's
Yeah.
fascinating. Other things to remember too that um, for clients in terms of sleep as well is that based on current research, it is really important that if they, it's more beneficial to the body to go to bed earlier than it is to stay up later and sleep in.
Mm.
So we have that kind of the check idea of the 10 to 2
Mm-hmm.
and 2 to 6.
Mm.
So from that 10 to 2 space, you're going deeper into stages of sleep that are healing to the physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually not going deep into REM. They're saying very short amounts of time in REM, and in those out of REM, they're actually being very healing to the physical body. From 11 to 1, in my understanding, the adrenals and the liver, etc., are being specifically healed, as well as the gallbladder.
Yeah.
You're also getting a dumping of growth hormone at that time as well.
Mm.
If you miss that window,
Yeah.
you're missing that boat.
Yeah.
And that can start to build up toxins in the body. Toxins can get stored in excess body fat, and on and on and on it
Mm.
goes. So, what I do with my clients and I do with myself is I tend to go to bed early and wake up early. So I usually go to bed around 8:30 or 9, and I get up around 5 o'clock, 4:30 or 5.
Mm.
And I spend in the morning, that's when I do my deep study.
Mm-hmm.
My phone's not going off. No one's there to distract me. Um, and I'm getting a very facilitative, healing sleep
Mm.
simply by going to bed closer to when sun goes down
Sure.
and waking up earlier if I do have work to do. But
Mm-hmm.
you'll eventually catch a rhythm where you're getting your average 8
Yeah.
to 9 hours of sleep, whatever it is for you. And it's also important to be mindful of that sleep rhythm will change
Mm.
based on the season.
Mm-hmm.
It will also change based on how much you're doing.
Mm.
So when I'm in a high phase of working out, I notice I need 9 hours, 9.5 hours of sleep, just
Mm.
hands down.
Mm.
When I'm in a just work in phase of my program, I notice that I need maybe 8, 7.5 hours of sleep.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So it's everything that we're doing here at the CHEK Institute is extremely dynamic,
Mm.
and that's why it's so important to journal and to really slow down and pay attention to yourself from a moment to moment perspective to build this vast amount of self awareness so that you can become your own guru.
Yeah.
And listen to your innate wisdom, because that's going to be hands down, from my perspective, the best guru is sitting inside you.
Yeah. Well, and this is great because in some ways, sleep is one of the easiest things that you can change, right? I
Yeah.
mean, almost apart from the fancy sunglasses, right, and some of these things, it doesn't really cost you any money, right, to change your sleep habit, and the outcomes of it are, as you said, kind of tremendous.
I mean, I've seen sleep trump many other things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Dr. Quiet, great. Well, thanks so much, Jator. That was great, and the between the sleep and the style sort of fashion tips, I learned a
Awesome.
lot. So thanks so much.